Today on What Went Wrong, what are we going to do with this new generation? Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and we would like to introduce our silent man from our previous episode, Mr. Steve Oden. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's give a little bit of history, who you are and what you're doing here.
Oh gosh, well, as you know, my name's Steve. I've been on the planet 49 years, which is a pretty good time. But in doing so, I am a corporate facilitator for a bank, and my goal is to help people learn how to lead versus dictate, and help people grow in their own personal and professional life. So just a brief synopsis there.
And you guys have a long history.
Mm-hmm. I've known him longer than I've known you, and that's rare.
Yeah.
I don't even like people that long. But I've known Steve 36 years now.
Yeah.
So I've known you 31, 32. So I've known you. Yeah, that's about right. So anyway, it's 38 years. I've known you 38 years.
38
God,
years.
math is hard sometimes. But anyway, yeah, we've been friends for a good time, and y'all hung out before with each other before, but we've never been in this kind of situation where we can talk about film and students and how to help the film students and people who want it. And I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons
Oogly moogly.
I don't know how to silence that.
Best alarm ever.
Push the button on the
You
side.
like that?
That was awesome.
Is that meatloaf? Is that meatloaf?
That's amazing.
I love meatloaf. I would do anything. Sorry. Back to the subject. You were saying.
I'll have to decide whether I want to cut that or not.
I don't think you should.
Well, especially coming from having worked with students and education, I thought this would be a great time to talk about some of the things that we don't always necessarily delve into, and that we're always talking about specific focus on specific topics or
Mostly the films and how to do the films, but not really about the people doing the films.
yes. Well, this time I want to talk about education in general and sort of. One of the things that I'll see in my class, and I think we're all guilty of it, and we look at the generation below us, and I don't mean that in a negative way below us, just
The guys behind us.
the guys behind us is oh, what's wrong with this young generation? And
Kids these days.
yeah, and when I teach my class, sometimes there are just students that just aren't engaging. They're just not paying attention. Nobody takes notes anymore. I remember when I went back to school in 2010, I sat it was my first class was this big auditorium. It's just like the basic psychology class you got to take. 300 students in there, and I whip out my notepad and I start ready to take notes, and out come everybody's laptops and tablets. And I'm looking around going, okay. My first thought is, how do you take notes? I mean, I guess it seems you have to...
You just type them.
Yeah, you just type them. And then all the Facebook and the World of Warcraft come up on the monitors.
Nice.
And I'm like, okay.
That's not notes.
Okay.
Grogu the barbarian.
Oh my God.
Taking notes off to the side.
So I was like, yep, things have changed.
Things have changed.
And now, and I'm pretty tough on cell phones in class, and many a student have been pelt with paper wads, because I'll just slowly see somebody walk on a cell phone, and I'll just grab a piece of paper, and I keep talking, blah blah blah, and everybody else in class is like, oh, it's coming.
Here it comes.
Here it comes.
Bonk. What the? Oh, sorry. And I take off their grade for their participation grade, not to try to keep them engaged. And just yesterday there was I had my big monitor up, and I was with my PowerPoint presentation, and I have I use Prezi, and I don't like to use Prezi. I don't want the PowerPoint by death or death by PowerPoint kind of a thing. I usually use it more for myself. I'll have one word things that keep me on track and that I can explain, and then there'll be images that I can refer to if need be.
Right.
But I don't let that be the main course. I want people just to listen to me. And the guy was behind the monitor and just kind of on his phone doing things. And I finally saw him, and I was like, "Oh, do you want to come around so you can see this, or are you going to use the force?" And he's one of the students that just doesn't engage in class, and you'll be 6 weeks in, and you're getting people ask questions that I answered in the first one, the first meeting. And I always try to ask at the end of the class, okay, is there any problems? Any and I always say any questions, comments, concerns, answers, prayers, wages, bets, philosophies, or nightmares. And I always just try, and I like to change up that last one.
I want to take your class so much.
Right.
I don't even know what I would do. I don't know how to do anything that you're talking. I just want to sit in class and watch. I would be that one student's like, you have any questions? Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. But I like watching you, Mr. Mauser, because you're cool. I would have no clue. But those are the teachers we liked, But when we were kids, I loved that stuff.
And I'll, I don't want to say that I'll insult the students, but I will, confront them. I mean, I have insulted a student or two before. No, you weren't there that one time, but somehow it came up about walking down dark alleys, and I think it was a personal responsibility conversation I was having, and I was like, you don't walk down a dark alley, and one little girl's like, yeah, I do. So what do you mean? What are you walking? Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm safe. Blah blah blah. I said, well, you're stupid. I wouldn't walk down a dark alley.
We are gathered here today to mourn the passing of the dark alley.
Of dark alley, and the stupid girl who walked down it.
Yeah. Wow.
So there is that mentality of is it the generation? And then we were just talking about, no, there were stupid people in our classes as well. People that just weren't paying attention, weren't engaged. Yeah. So this is going to be kind of a broad topic because you can take it in so many different ways from the administration, from the way districts are now formulated, and with the curriculum. There was a diversity training that I had to go to for the new class for the new school that I'm working at, and I can address a lot of that, but. One of them was talking about their focus, and it's that we want to have a justice-based curriculum. You're talking about social justice and diversity and all that. And I'm thinking, I teach video. How about we have a video-based curriculum? Or if you're teaching history, how about a history-based curriculum? Can we do that? I mean, that's gonna educate people more than this garbage that's coming out. And I'm sure I'll pepper some of my experience with that latest thing. Yeah. But how do you keep them engaged? And is there a difference between our generation and today's generation? Yeah. And how do you reach out to them? How do you get them to pay attention?
And I think
can you get them to pay attention?
Exactly, because that no matter where you are, I don't think it has to do just with the concept of being in video class or film class. That's one of the bigger challenges we have, and I think you touched on it. Every generation has said, "Oh, those damn kids," to the generation before, and every generation beneath them is like, "They just don't understand me. If they would just, and so you have that kind of situation where. The goal that we see here now is how do I connect to individuals who have this technology at the ready. They can grab their cell phone, they can grab a YouTube video, and catch it within 5 minutes time frame, right? As to something as simple as how do I change a battery in a car? How do I do makeup tutorials? You see those all the time. Any kind of topic or subject that you have, it's this instant gratification of this. I can do this in 5 minutes. So why do I need to attend a class? Why even in my world, why do I need to attend a 2-day session? Why do I need to attend a 2-hour session? And so we've recognized that it's not necessarily about the topic, the subject, the interesting thing that they want to learn or the thing that we know that they need to know. It's how do I engage people? How do I show value? And so we started a study. It was interesting. We started a study of what is it that's important. First of all, for Gen Z, millennials, all those different kinds of things. No matter what term you want to put in there. And it was getting to know people, getting to know what their interests are. And granted, if they're signing up for a class such as film, you think that would be an interest, but you just said, that, and I think that's the thing that we've recognized is those younger generations want to feel included and valued. You think about diversity. So when you think about the justice thing, it's not really about social justice. It's about how do I engage people and help them recognize that I value and see them for a unique person that they are. And then you back up and go, every generation really wants that.
Well, and I think this is where we're going to diverge a little bit.
Yeah,
and that's because I'm of a different mentality. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about the student as an individual. On an individual basis, I may when they start having issues or they start having problems, I'm no problem sitting and talking, but and that's sort of one of the issues that I have with the diversity. a lot of the diversity training is they want us to take into account their background and their race and treat them differently in those contexts. And I'm like, no, if the student needs help, I'm more than happy to help them.
Sure.
I'm not going to instantly go in, oh, here's a black student, I need to pay closer attention to them. To me, that's racism. That's not,
You're saying, the black kid's not as smart as everybody else, so I got to pay special attention to him.
And here's where it comes to, for me, is I'm not doing them any favors, because to me, college is a bridge between that sheltered high school existence and the real world where nobody cares and everybody wants you dead. So one of the things in diversity training they were talking about, well, they want to get black students to teach black students to be learned from black teachers. And they're focusing, because they learn better, and it's this, and it's like, but you're not preparing them for the real world. I mean, does that mean that now, if we're going to coddle them again and say, okay, because you're more comfortable with somebody who's like yourself, what happens when you get out in the real world and you've got to deal with an Asian or a white or
because if they come to where I am and I need a black teacher, well, get out. Well, but because we are offering them, the world I work, we're offering, like say we're at my airline, we're offering them day one a 6-figure salary, day one. Okay? And if they stay for a number of years, they can make a lot of money, But if you can't handle being taught by a white guy, you're not going to make that money.
Yeah.
So you're going to throw them right back into the poverty pool. Or not right in the poverty pool, but they're not going to be able to make that extra money. Okay, now, where does that leave them if you've hamstrung them in high school by only teaching them tests and not teaching them, how to live. And now you're going to get them to college and you're going to hamstring them again by in a place where you're supposed to expand their horizons and make them a better, more capable, more full person. You're just going to hamstring them and push their eyes right back down on the ground and say, because of your color, you are incapable. You are too dark to learn from anybody other than somebody who is as dark as you. That's all you're capable of doing. And as long as you only go to places where there's dark people, you'll be fine. As opposed to the rest of the world where the actual colorblind melting pot exists that our founding fathers may or may not have wanted, but it's what we have determined to become. Melting pot? Is that just...
Yeah. Well, and I think so let me clarify, because I think that's the problem with a lot of the concept of today is we have to swing the pendulum so far this way or so far that way. When I say get to know your people, you brought up an interesting thing that people bring out their cell phones. And that used to bug the living crap out of me in the classroom too, because I'm like, your cell phone, obviously you're not learning. And now, for the most part, they're not. However, there are people, when I say know them, it's like knowing how they like to take notes. There's a way to take audible notes by they give on your laptop. There's a way for you to hit the button now, and it can just record what the professor's saying. And it's those kinds of things where I had to get past that perspective that millennial isn't necessarily. Granted, now I have the ability to walk the room like you do to go, okay, get off Warcraft. Seriously, that's where the paper does come out. You bonk them in the head. But if all of a sudden you see your voice being typed on the screen and they're not doing anything, it's like, you sneaky little bastard! How'd you do that? And so it's knowing those kinds of things about people, not necessarily knowing that Junior over here caught the sniffles in the 3rd grade, and that's why Mom wants to make sure that he has the nose wipes.
Okay, yeah, because in that context, because what I will say when in class, in the first initiation day when I'm giving the rules, I will say, now look, because I teach at night a lot, so there'll be times when I say, okay, now look, if you've got to go pick up your daughter, or you're waiting to see if your husband's going to pick up your daughter, and you've got to get these texts, that's cool. Let me know ahead of time.
Yeah.
But if I do see them just there doing this, then you know what's going on.
Oh, completely.
But yeah, so I give that. I get that. I give that caveat.
And I like taking pictures of notes.
Oh, totally. And I encourage that in my room. I'm
and
you're never going to remember this, so please take a picture of that so you can go back to it when you need it.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that, and I don't mind people recording things and whatnot, especially me. But
well, even in college, we used to have digital recording devices in class.
But I've seen. And that's what's scary. That's a red flag for me when a professor or teacher doesn't want you to do that, because I'll see that a lot. Yeah. Well, they don't let me record it. Why wouldn't you let you? Yeah. Why wouldn't you let you?
What's going on
teach a history class? Oh. And you start saying, okay, they don't want that,
Sure.
because of preaching politics or anything like that, or things that they know parents are going to get upset at, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't mind it, and I think that if you're afraid of being recorded when you're teaching, you need to reevaluate yourself and ask, why are you not worried? Why are you worried about that?
Right. I think the other thing, when we talk about knowing people, some of the styles that the thing we focus in on also, and I think this is part of adult learning, is the kinesthetic, the visual, the audible type learner. How do you like to learn? What you're like, and so knowing those kinds of things about people helps me connect to them in a different way. Kind of like when my daughter came home for after the first year of college. We in the corporate world just got Zoom, so we were over the moon. We're like, we finally can connect. There's video and that. And my daughter was like, I hate Zoom. I'm like, why? She goes, we all hate Zoom. I'm like, why? We're on it 8 hours a day. I'm on it for 2. Completely different perspective, or 90 minutes if I have a class. Completely different perspective. The word Zoom fatigue has entered the lexicon, and it's like that would have never happened 5-6 years ago because all we had was just like phone call kind of conversations. And so what I'm thinking, again, in my mindset, because this is a new technology, new tool, is not the same. People come into my world from college going, oh God, another lecture. Oh no, I'm going to be on for another 8 hours. And so it's making sure that I recognize that and go, no, this is different. This is unique. Kind of like if you're coming in from high school where, you might have a teacher who's, if you go back and I'll use, an old movie, Bueller, obviously your style of teaching is different from that, but that's what everybody again gets in their head. And so this is unique. So how can I make it unique to these individuals and recognize where they are? And I think that's where I find truly valuing those things. Like I said, I could care less what's going on in your life. Now, granted, yes, if it's the extenuating circumstance, I'm sorry that's happening. Not my problem. Please know that I care, but please go deal with that, versus me going, oh, now let me hold your hand and let's go to the principal's office and make sure that everybody understands so that you can, that is completely something that's on their responsibility. But I think it is, it's getting to the point to where knowing some of those, what's the medium, what's the way that you like to learn, what are some of those ways that I can meet those needs. I think I find that's where people start to see something different than they've ever experienced in education, because education just becomes this rote dump kind of thing where it's like, I don't need to do that. I can just be here and I can really pick up from my colleagues, pick up from my professor, pick up from the facilitator in the classroom, and then make my own way. You know what I mean? Make my own, and empowering, is really what we're trying to do, and to give people a voice so they can get back to what we were so comfortable with and going, you're wrong, let me tell you why. And being okay with that, because again, we're now in this digital space where I can say you're wrong, but I don't want to hear you tell me I'm wrong. Otherwise I'm going to get butthurt. My sensibilities are going to get all torn to pieces, and it's like, grow a pair and talk, And
I try to explain that to my students in the first day is I say, look, I'm going to be standing up here, I'm going to be presenting this. I don't want this to be a lecture. I want this to be a conversation. Yeah. If you have questions or if you think I'm going down a wrong road or you don't agree with me, let's talk about it. Yeah. Let's have that conversation. And that's sort of one of the things that in that diversity training they were talking about, how like a black student doesn't feel comfortable asking a question or giving an opposing viewpoint because their professor's white. And I'm kind of like,
how did they know that? Prove that to me.
Because the student's coming up and saying that.
How many? That's where we can get into the whole semantics of all this.
So we have the one pussy who can't seem to handle human interaction.
Well, I called the diversity training chick out on it because she was, there's this one student, she came up and she just doesn't want to get mansplained to, and then I was like, it's like, mansplaining is sexist, right? Well, yeah, but those were her words. She said that. I was like, well, did you correct her?
Yeah, isn't that being sexist?
No, it was her words. Just continue on. So, but when you use their own words, I could care less about someone saying mansplaining. I get what they're saying, they're wrong, but I get it. Because I'll mansplain to you if that's what they're calling it,
I mansplain to me when I don't think I've said it right. I'm like, hold on a second. So I meant this, and did I even say that correctly? I'm always checking myself when I have to repeat myself. Yeah. Or if I have somebody go, huh? I'm like, well, shoot, I didn't say it the way I wanted to say it. Well, that's one thing that my students love about me is if it didn't make sense one way, I usually go, what didn't make sense? I can see some faces out here. What didn't make sense? Yeah. And they're like, you said this. Let me come at it a different way. Mm-hmm. And now in the world, somehow that would be mansplaining, but it's me going, I stepped over my tongue for the past 5 seconds here. Let me go back and say it differently. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, and now we're moving on. You know,
and I'm the opposite. I don't explain a goddamn thing, and I just go on. I expect you to keep up, and so half people I talk to, they're just completely lost.
Never.
And finally, someone says, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "What the f*** do you mean? What I'm talking about?" And I was like, "You said this." Holy ball! That was like 10 minutes ago. Which, you know, so I have the opposite problem. I don't explain a damn thing.
Yeah. See, I can, when I'm speaking, when I'm presenting, when I'm in a debate with somebody or whatever, I'm speaking with confidence. I'm right and you're wrong, and that's sort of that attitude that I'm presenting.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean I'm not willing to get that conversation, because when I'm not engaging in that, when I'm sitting at home alone or I'm thinking up my own ideas, I am breaking down my own arguments and I'm analyzing, well, am I wrong about this?
Right.
Well, why would be that? And I think about that to myself, but when I'm on stage, I have to have that confidence and I have to present that.
Of course.
So I totally get that, but it is sort of it's so frustrating that you know, because it's the how women can get upset at being called well, if I'm a powerful CEO, people call me a bitch. It's like, well, yeah, but if I'm a powerful CEO and a man, I'm going to get called a motherfucker, an asshole, all these other things.
Yeah.
It's just just that.
It's one of the things, and I guess it's good. Like I said, good that I live in the world in which I live, because the people with whom I associate with, male or female, don't give a. But it's kind of the concept of you wanted equality. That's what that looks like.
Yeah. You
know, in the military or in the airlines, we're going to call each other names. We're horrible to each other. Okay. It's like, hey, head, you know. I mean, those are the things we say to each other. If you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. We're going to call you dirty names, because that's how we show our love. And you and I had this conversation. Is if I don't like you, I'm not talking to you. Yeah. That's how you know we don't like you. Mm-hmm. If I'm calling you a bitch, if I'm calling you an ass, if I'm calling you a cunt, it means I like you. It means you're part of the group.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it comes to the perspective that we've lost this art in today's society, where, you know, and we try to teach this from our perspective of corporate understanding, because we're not always going to get along, right? Even if I don't like you, fact of the matter is I still got to work with you. Mm-hmm. Now, here's so where do I boil this down? You have, watch this, a truth. I have a truth, meaning your opinion and my opinion. Somewhere in the middle, there's the truth that we have to find together.
Truth with a big capital T.
Exactly. And so how do I do that? I come from that state of confidence, stating, here's what I believe, what do you believe? But we've lost this beautiful word, and we talked about this too, curiosity. Mm-hmm. Instead of being right all the time, it's here's what I believe. Let's talk about what you believe and find, in a curious state, maybe I'm wrong. Like you said, maybe I'm not right, but it's not in the background. It's right here, right now. And then when I do that, there's this mutual respect that's built, because we're curious, instead of, let me tell you how wrong you are. You know, here comes the hatchet hand. Let me tell you how wrong you are. And then you tell me how wrong I am. And we butt heads, and now I go find Brett, who agrees with me on this subject. And so we're going to come, and, you know, and so there's that piece of curiosity that's missing from the conversations, because of what you just said, because of that diversity training that's supposed to go, well, if you look at it this way, if you come over to this perspective, then you'll lose the ability, because you can't be curious in that state. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a miss for any generation today, is to not be curious, to learn. And I think that's what we're really trying to do, whether it's corporate America, whether it's in the plane industry, you know, flying and airlines, or it's in the classroom, to help people grow as better movie. I'm not screwed up. Filmmakers. Thank you. I don't speak good sometimes. Apologies.
English is hard.
It's my first language. You'll get that later. But it's that kind of thing. It's like filmmakers, you know, the goal is to be better than you are, and how better to do that than to learn from other people around you.
And you're also afraid to be wrong. You're afraid to ask questions, because you'll be thought of as a misogynist or this or a sexist. And there's times you have certain questions you should ask, like, should we light black actors differently than white actors? Is that a problem? If we're just going to put the same lights on the set, and those whose skin pigment absorbs color differently than those who don't, isn't that a problem? Let's have that conversation, but we can't even talk about that. No, we're all the same. Are we? And so the problem is you have these conversations. You limit these conversations, and therefore you limit your understanding. Therefore, you limit your proficiency.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you how bad this is. And there, the film that I'm going to shoot newcomers. There's a character in the beginning that one actor was like, "Oh, I want this role. I really want this role." Well, the actor happens to be black, and this character is like the first character to die. And I kind of left it general. I didn't say it was a black guy. I didn't say it was a white guy. But now I'm sitting like, I can't. The first guy I kill in a horror movie is going to be the black guy. But this guy really wants that role. What am I supposed to do? I mean, you know me. I'm like, he wants the role.
He wants the role. He gets the role.
Yeah. But you have actors or filmmakers out there that are in that quandary because of the way that they're taught in regards to what's the social right thing to do. Versus what should we be doing for the movie?
Yeah,
the conversation we had with Carlos the other day, about why the black guy, can't be the villain. It's the conversation, and we just talked about it. It's like, let me get this straight. One of the guys who's going to get the most money, the bad guy, he can't be a black guy. So once again, we're limiting the ability of the black actor to make more money because let's keep him down. Oh no, we're helping him out. Are you? Are you really? Yeah. All it is, it's like, oh, he can't, and like we said, well, he can't play that role. Why not? Well, because he's black. Can he not sit in the front of the bus? And can he not sit in the restaurant with everybody else? Maybe he needs his own water fountain. Is that also what we're doing because he's black? Come on, man. Stop being racist, even if you're trying to be well-meaning. You're not helping anybody.
Now we were kind of talking about the generations, and us, our generation may look at the generation below, or the millennials, and go, oh,
yeah.
But it's our fault, right? Because we're our kids.
Yeah.
Well, except
my kids.
I've got no dog in this fight, but we do have to look at it. So, what did our generation do wrong for the millennials that they're not getting into? They get into the class and they don't do anything? Because we did discuss that we do feel like at our age there were people that just didn't do anything. Jeff and I would really engage in our English classes, but now it seems like everybody is just sitting there doing it.
So I am one of the most interesting hybrids that you can think of, because I still taught my kids that there is a second place. There is a second place. There's a second place. Unfortunately, our generation, because we felt so, and this is what I've seen just from our perspective, and because I had friends with kids and all this kind of stuff, and I've seen the gamut of, no, second place is first loser. My mentality, second place is second place. There is a 1, 2, and 3. That's why we have gold, bronze, and gold, silver, and bronze. But the participation trophy went so far beyond just the participation trophy. It's every little effort, every little thing had to be valued in some certain way, because I didn't want my kids growing up, and though I'm saying this, I'm not saying of me, my kids learned that failure was something that's real. I didn't want my kids to experience failure because I didn't want them to be sad, didn't want them to be, I wanted them to achieve your dreams. Unfortunately, you cannot achieve your dreams. There's no dream that's been achieved anywhere, right? Edison, you can throw out every name you could possibly think of. Without a failure, without a mistake, without an error, so that you learn. And so now we have kids who have gone all through their life achieving success until they get in the real world and realize the real world does not care. And now they're upset because they want to live in this little bubble of, well, the world needs to care about me. And the bottom line is, I don't care that you want this world to care about you. And that's the hard part about it all, that they're learning this thing, or they run to this bubble, which now creates more kids and more people now linking arms going, no, we matter, we matter, we matter. And unfortunately, primordial world doesn't care. And that's the hard part about this, is when you come up against that, you're now judging or discriminating or every type of thing, insert ings here, and you'll find that's what you've been labeled, or ist. You're an ist or an ing. And unfortunately I'm a realist, and I'm telling you I am not caring. So that's the reality of it. I want to see you succeed, but it's up to you to do so.
So the big question comes, how do we fix it?
Didn't you tell me one time you had one guy who came up to you and said he'd thrown away all his trophies?
Yeah, because they didn't matter. No longer, the trophies no longer mattered. And it broke my heart because all these accomplishments that he had been making were cheapened by everybody else's participation trophies. And I think it's going to take it down a pathway that we've already seen. It's going to get worse before it gets better, because you now have those young children who were given the trophy, who were given the, you're special. And yes, to mom, dad, you were special. Me, you're not really that special, right? You're another person who has the potential, but it's up to you to do it. Once they're able to get past that generation, and I think what's going to happen is you're going to see kids, because the kids of today now are rebelling against those people who are telling them that they're special. They're apathetic to it, because if I'm special in everything, then why am I special? And I think that's what's going to take that, so as a grandparent, I look forward to helping other people's kids and grandchildren, regain what special means, what important means, and what value truly means, because it's going to take this generation through a hard row to hoe, because it's not going to be easy for them, and we get to sit back and watch it happen. Now that means also that our to be vigilant in this area is, once they get kicked in the teeth, to be able to come alongside them and say, now what happened and why? Because mom and dad may or may not be there, as they hit our age, or they hit, even 10 years before us. So it's our responsibility to come along and go, yeah, that stung, didn't it? You ever had that before? What are you going to do about it? And I think when we're able to do so, and again, here's the thing. The other thing that I had to get over was that everybody in my classroom had to come along. I could care less whether you succeed or fail. That means if you don't listen to my class, it's up to you. Mm-hmm. When you get back in the real world and you're not able to fall back on this concept, this training that we're giving you, you're not going to last. And so you can go find another participation trophy because you chose not to participate, but you still wanted the trophy, So that's the kind of thing. And those people eventually get weeded out, right? And so that's my true north, is that no matter what, the people that want to go and move and empower and grow are those people that are hungry for it, and let's do this. All along the way, you're going to have people that are like lip service, or cell phone. Mm-hmm. You're going to have actors that are hungry and want to, and you're going to have actors that think that they deserve the Oscar day one when they step on set. Ever. And it's like, that's the kind of thing, is those people will eventually self-select them out, and you'll get what you wanted, but it's going to take time, because we've opened Pandora's box, and now we have to every generation has to deal with the consequences of, again, something as simple as a participation trophy, which is deeper. It's deeper than that. It's just the title. It's people didn't want people to feel bad.
Yeah. And that's I look at myself, and maybe that's, maybe this is arrogance, ego, whatever you want to call it, but I'm very happy with my life. There are people that can look at my films and give me shit for that, or, oh, well, you're not this, oh, well, you're not that, you're not in Hollywood making big movies. First of all, I don't want to be in Hollywood making those movies.
I learned that. What are you going down that road?
Yeah, I learned that very early on in my life. But I'm very happy with the life that I have.
Yeah.
Would I change things? Maybe here or there, but I mean, I'm more than content.
Exactly.
That came from me taking notes in class, even boring classes. Do you think when I was in, the psychology class was kind of cool. I'm trying to think. The astronomy class was kind of cool.
English class.
English
Let's
class
just say.
Oh,
never mind. Then okay.
Well, there was the English class, and we were in On the Road, and some other things, and I was able to pick, a challenge. I'm gonna pick out the stupid Marxism and beat Nickism, and I'm gonna argue this. There were classes that I was
sure.
Like, oh, okay, like some of the communication classes that were very political based,
right.
So very very lovey-dovey. But I still I said I want to get straight A's. And I buckled down. I took notes. I would discuss. I would argue. Whatever. when I'm sitting at home and do I want to make a short film this weekend? Oh, I just don't really feel like it. But I got the ball rolling. I didn't call it off. I got up. I woke up early and I went and I did it, and I had a blast. And I pushed myself, and all of those moments, not being on my cell phone in class, taking notes, led to where I am and the life that I have. But you can't express that to people because they may not. Your success isn't their success,
Sure.
So they're not going to see it as that's. Oh well, he took notes. Well, I don't want to take notes, so it's a little frustrating to let people, to try and teach people that it isn't given to you.
Yeah.
All the promises the politicians are making you on either side of the aisle, they're just promises, and you're not going to, once you vote for them, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
In fact, you're going to probably, get a 2x4 up the ass.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that our society is being taught that what happens in the news is what's going to happen to you, right? Prosperity or disparity, no matter what it is, it's going to happen to you. What's lost on them is contentment. And when your success, your contentment is your success. It's not the amount of money that you make. It's not the amount of money that you don't make. It's not the Oscar that you could have won or didn't win or should have won. All those different kinds of things. Because at the end of the day, and this is the hardest thing for anybody that's not past that time where it's like we've got reflection time. We've been able to sit back and go, I turned out pretty damn good. Hot damn, Yeah. But we have this thing, when you're slogging in at your 20s, you're like, I've got to make success. Success means this. And we forget that contentment is success. And I think that's the hardest part is that be content in everything that you do. There's millions of what ifs. There's always somebody on my shoulder going, well, you could have been better. And the bottom line is you shut that voice up and go, but I'm here in the moment. I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm loving what I'm doing. And I can't do anything differently than what's happening right here, right now. And I can do reflection on it and see how I can improve upon it. But that doesn't mean tomorrow it's going to be 10 light years better than I was today. And I think that's the other hard part about it is that we come back to the words instant gratification. I want my trophy now. I want my Oscar. I want the EGOT. It's like I want that now. It's like, well, good luck.
As a kids, we watched a movie about I Want It Now gets you kicked out of Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
Don't care how.
It's the idea that instant gratification is what I want now. And everything that you are taught, every morality tale, everything says what you have right now, if you get it right now, isn't what you want. Because the whole point of having something, if it was easy, anybody would do it. We've all talked about this. If it was easy, anybody could do it. If it's anything worth having, takes a while to get.
Yeah. My daughter is a junior in college right now. The acting bug bit her in the 7th grade, and she has chased it till now, and it will continue to chase it. However, I am so proud of her, and here's why. She is somebody who... Would she love to eventually get a Tony, be on Broadway and all that kind of stuff? Yes, of course. Who wouldn't? Of course, the dream, right? However, her main goal is to be a working actor. And that, to me, means more because there are way too many kids looking for the Tony. And they're looking for the Tony as a freshman in college, right? And I think that's the thing is there are people that are looking for that trophy still. And when I see her going, I just want to be gainfully employed and make decent money. Great. That's going to be what you're going to succeed in is because you're not going to go shooting and swinging for every fence that you can that doesn't exist. You're going to shoot for those things that are meaningful to you and along the way learn some amazing things. Because one of the things that Jeff and I have talked about throughout our lives, and we've shared this wisdom with a lot of young people, is it's never going to go the way you think it's going to go.
Yeah.
And yes, you have that pie in the sky. I wanted to be.
Like you've said.
Yeah, I wanted to be the musician touring the world. Making millions and wowing millions of people. I'm a facilitator at a bank, and yet I am in my element. I love what I'm doing. Like you said, I'm content. I wouldn't change anything. And there have been bumps along the way, but the bottom line is, I love what I'm doing. I love my life, and to see my daughter grasp that, and get that at 20. Now even more content as a father, and my son content in doing what he's doing, and he works in the airline industry. He works in a different side than what Jeff does, but he loves it. and is completely content in growing step by step and
doing well,
and doing very well, and enjoying the journey along the way. To see my kids not have that, why not now? Why give me it now? It's like I hope that I can help other adults and other children and other teens see that, so that they can learn that now before the cliff, before that spiral of it didn't turn out the way that and now I'm a failure. I think that's the biggest thing that I worry about, is there's too many kids that are on the cusp of that are recognizing that failure isn't fatal, but it also isn't something that's final either. And it's something that we have to recognize that we can grow from. And I think there's too many kids that failure's fatal, and so I'm afraid of losing, so I'll just hide in my bubble and never try.
Speaking specifically of that, is friends we know, we talked about this, is like they're so scared of failure that they're afraid to try anything.
Yeah.
Whereas the thing the thing we came to was, what does failure look like? Is it the fact that you stopped? It's the fact that this didn't work. And we've all joked about me being on like plan Q. Plan A didn't work, plan B didn't work, plan C didn't work. And I just kept on going down the list. But the point was, whenever I hit a roadblock or fall off a cliff and realize I can't do that thing, I was like, all right, what now? And we try something else. And the point is to get where you're going to that. And also talking about the grind is the way I describe it. Yeah. I can talk about, where I am now, where we all are now. Where I am now is where I wanted to be back in the day. I'm one of the few people I know who actually got where I wanted to be back in the day. Absolutely nothing else went right. Not one thing went according to plan. It's like I went from here to here, but I did not go this way. I went that way, and then this way, and then over there, and back this way, and nothing worked according to plan. And you both remember those years and years and years I spent grinding it out, doing stupid little things, and not being where I wanted to be, and having to work exceptionally hard for not a whole lot of money, and not a whole lot of glory, and not a whole lot of what I wanted to do, but just kept pounding and pounding. Mm-hmm. And I describe it as like standing in front of a rock with a sledgehammer and beating the crap out of it and never making it any smaller. Just for hours and days and years. But eventually, and that's the story, I guess, whenever we talk about it, is plan A is never plan Z. It's never the last plan. And also be willing to sit there and grind away at something that is not what you want to do. Take the notes in your freaking communications class, despite the fact that you hate your professor, you hate this class, you're all stupid, and I hate everything about it.
There's something there that's going to help.
There's something there that you're going to learn.
Expect it to.
And you can't just go, and plan A didn't work. Well, I give up. No, dumbass. Get your ass back up. Go over here. Well, it's not going to work. Then and do something else. You're just going to sit there and die? Plan B. Where are you trying to get? I'm trying to get up that mountain. And this path is closed. What am I going to do? Oh my God. You think there's one path up the mountain? Come here and go up the next path. Well, that one's blocked. Go over here. Oh, that's not working. Keep going. And we've done these what went wrongs and talked about that. You have to keep doing. You're not the special rainbow. You're not the special unicorn. We just talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So you're not the special unicorn. That doesn't mean you can't succeed. That doesn't mean you're not awesome, beautiful, and amazing. But what it means is you're not a freaking unicorn. You're going to have to grind it out with the rest of us.
I think we can boil this kind of down to personal philosophies. And I can say from my standpoint, there are two things that I would credit my success with, whatever, my personal success with, and I think is the key to anybody's success. And those are two things. First off, personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Accepting that where you get is your own doing. And I think these come very, very hand in hand in that not being a victim. And we've discussed this before
on an
episode, where the one of the biggest monumental changes in my life was when I stopped being a victim and I stopped saying, "Oh, how could she do that to me? Oh, how did this happen to me?
Poor me."
Mm-hmm. And it was and changing that mentality of, "Oh, well, shouldn't have trusted her. That was my fault. Or, oh, I should have done harder here, or I should have taken the time to get this shot right, or whatever. Putting it all on myself rather than going, well, I don't have any money.
No excuses.
Yeah.
Excuses.
When I say, well, we don't have any money, I'm not saying that as a poor us. I'm saying that, look at what we did.
Right.
Look, this is if we gave James Cameron $10,000 to make a feature-length Western, good luck.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him do it.
Yeah.
You take something that should be a roadblock and turn it into the virtue and the focus and the turning point of how you do what you do. You said, yeah, we didn't have any money, and here's what we did, and it was awesome. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thing that the perseverance and the mental toughness that you get if you stop whining about what's wrong, if you stop accepting excuses from yourself.
Because to me, it seems like when I think of that, the criticisms of well, you should have just waited until you had money or this. Brad and I have talked about that all before. But to me, that's just laziness. Yeah. Because you're saying, well, I'm going to wait until I have the money to do it right. Because no, you got a story to tell. Tell the story. Figure out how to tell it. Because now you've just got an excuse to not do it.
Right.